Got to give the people. Give the people what they want. Alright, I'm here. If you are in my particular class, you do not need to write these notes over again. We already wrote them in Bass's class. If you are in Tillis's class, write these notes because you don't have them already, okay? Folks in my class, you're going to need to do the problem, but you do not need to rewrite these notes, basically. Okay, so we're talking about average rate of change. So you've already done this. So remember, rate of change is just the slope. And all of you in Algebra 1, you've done slope, and all of you who were in geometry last year, you still have done slope before. Slope, remember, is the change in y over the change in x. There are lots of ways to find slope. There's a formula you can use. I don't particularly like the formula. I like to actually just think about it and try to make some sense of it. But remember, the slope is the change in your y values over the change in your x values. So now when we're talking about the average rate of change, that's when we are finding the slope between 2 points in a function that doesn't actually have a consistent slope. So like if this was a line, this line has a consistent slope, but every function is not just a straight line like that. But you can still find the average rate of change, which means pick 2 points in that line and find the slope between those 2 points. So here's an example of that. So this function right here clearly does not have a consistent slope. Let me go on this side, right? You can see it the slope changes at many points. But we're actually going to find the average rate of change between this point and this point. So ultimately what we're doing is finding the slope of that line right there. And we're going to call that the average rate of change between those 2 points. Average rate of change. So how I like to do that is I like to use a table. Here's the key. You're not going to make mistakes if you label stuff. If you just write stuff down, it's more likely that you make a mistake. So now everybody needs to get this part down. You should make sure that regardless of what class you're in, you have this picture. Okay? So I just like to make a simple table, right? And tables go X and Y. My first point, I always move in this direction. So my first point was 0, 5. My second point was 2, 3.5, okay? And I'm going to remember that this side is going to represent my change in y. This side is going to represent my change in x. So I look here. How do I go from 5 to 3.5? I subtract 1.5. So my change in y is negative 1.5. For x, how do I move from 0 to 2? I add 2. And now, notice down here, I'm going to write average rate of change is always the change in y over the change in x. So I'm going to say, oh, my change in y was negative 1.5. My change in x was 2. There's my slope, or in this case, my average rate of change. That's all this is. Okay? So this was just a quick reminder. I know Tillis's class didn't get to this as much as we did in mine. We wanted to make sure everyone had the same information. That's all I got. Bass. Deuces.